All right, y'all, welcome to Blacks with Power, the show for blacks in America who want to discover ways to harness their power in order to protect the gains won by the struggles of our ancestors and advance the cause of freedom for themselves, their families, and for others. We believe that for America to be great, in order for us to be the more perfect union that our Constitution calls for us to be, then we must have racial reconciliation in this country. And for there to be true reconciliation, then blacks in America must empower themselves in order to compel and encourage repentance for the system and ideology of white supremacy that has betrayed the ideal of liberty and justice for all. I'm Father Jabril Ballantine, and I will be your guide on this journey towards the America that can and should be. Thank you all so much for listening. You can find us online at blackswithpower.com. Like the Facebook page, that's facebook.com/blackswithpower. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Google Play, on TuneIn, on YouTube. Listen to the previous episodes and write a review. Then share your favorite episodes with family, with friends, because all voices are needed. And so I want to hear from you. We've created this private Facebook group where you know that you have a safe space to explore all of your ideas and ask all of your questions as we begin to change the dynamic of how black lives are valued in this country. Go to blackswithpower.com/Facebook, log on, get the application, quick application, jump over to the Facebook group, click request membership. We check your application, verify that you truly are who you say you are, then let you into the group so that we can have at it. Now, we got a lot to discuss, and this is part of the reason why I need you to join that group. It's been overwhelming this past few weeks, past few months. Everything that's been going on, natural disasters all over the place. First, we got hit majorly with Hurricane Harvey, and you saw all of the massive flooding in Houston area and in the surrounding areas. You see Hurricane Irma, and now, of course, the media is going crazy about everything that's happened in Florida, but we also don't want to forget our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. I myself, being from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, cannot forget my brothers and sisters in the VI massive, every time. But at the same time, it's easy for everyone else to forget. If you look at the media coverage, you can count. Like I was saying the other day on the Twitter, on Facebook, and the Twitter. Like I said, on Facebook, on Twitter, that you have these 24-hour news stations, and like 23 and a half hours are dedicated to Florida and the Irma relief efforts, and about 5 minutes, like you get 5 minutes talking about the Virgin Islands, and then it's all kinds of crazy. It's like every time, and we saw it with Katrina, when white folks were out looking for food and were stealing food. They were talking about how these people were struggling to eat and trying to find food to take care of their families. When black people were doing the same thing, you would see them saying that they're looting. And if you don't believe me, those of you who are too young to remember, if you don't believe me, you can Google it and see that. And we've heard all the reports for years on end about how the Red Cross and United Way and all of these organizations would receive money, and that it would not make it to the people that need it. It would not make it to black and brown folk. It would not make it to the impoverished communities where the people were most affected. And so we know that this stuff happens. We've heard about the reports in Houston on who was getting saved, who wasn't getting saved. And don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of beauty. Like I said on numerous occasions, it's like when humanity is at its worst, when humanity is at its ugliest, it's like God and Mother Nature conspire together and they up the ante. And show us their worst. Show us how harsh they can get, in order to remind us of our best as humanity. And so you've seen humanity at its best across the board: white, black, brown, red, white, blue, whoever, yellow, all around the spectrum. You've seen beauty. But at the same time, when we talk about infrastructure and delivery of goods and services and recovery efforts and so on and so forth, we know that it has always been this racial disparity in terms of how goods and services get on the ground. I mean, I'm experiencing this firsthand. I almost didn't even do an episode this week for you, but I it's like part of my relief effort for the Virgin Islands is actually channeling this frustration, because and it's not just me. It's people all around the country that have been trying to raise Virgin Islanders abroad, from Philly and DC, from Atlanta, from Orlando where I am, from Miami, from all over the place, from California, trying to get goods and services, relief and assistance into the Virgin Islands and can't find it, can't get it in. All kinds of government red tape, all kinds of roadblocks, and and we know. I said it myself that when Florida gets devastated by Irma, as it did, everyone's gonna forget about the Virgin Islands. This little black place that is U.S. Not forgetting the British Virgin Islands because my grandmother's got sisters over there. Not forgetting any of the other islands that got devastated, but the fact that the U.S. Virgin Islands can't get any assistance. You watch the videos online, and it breaks my heart. I've been crying every day, all day, every day. And this woman, she looked to be in her 70s or so, living in one of the housing projects there, and said on the camera that she'd been there, at that point for a week, 7 days. And you look, and her whole wall behind her is gone. She got a room with a view now. A concrete wall gone, and no one from HUD, from Housing Urban Development, no one had come to see her. No one had come to check on it. Not even come to see her like she's this important. All lives matter, right? But like she's this important person that they have to come see. But no one had come to see the people that lived in those communities. No one had been there yet. And these aren't remote communities like where my parents live way back behind God's back, in the hills, in the bush, where people can't get to even on a good day. These are communities where people can get to if they really wanted to, right? That no one had been there, and we know how relief is slow to come. And I tell people all the time, the last time we went through a major hurricane in the Virgin Islands, we were without power for 6 months. 6 months. And I hear people talking about, the Keys are going to be without power for at least 2 weeks, at least 8 weeks. I'm like, 6 months without power for Americans. So it started to beg the question. The Garveyite in me always begs the question, and Marcus Messiah Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, and the Black Star Line, and the government, the IRS found a way. He didn't really know all the tax policies and so on and so forth. And so before he actually owned the ship, before he took possession of the ship, he drew up a stock bill and put Black Star Line on the boat. And because he mailed out that stock bill with Black Star Line on the boat that he was in the process of purchasing, the government caught him for mail fraud, and that's how Garvey went down. His 12 million strong organization tanked because of that little minor discrepancy for a boat that they actually were buying. But nevertheless, it makes me think of things like the Black Star Line, and shout out to my man Lee Merritt, attorney Lee Merritt. Y'all know him, a civil rights attorney in the Dallas area, who is doing the American Black Cross, and if you go on Facebook, you'll see their American Black Cross fan page, and they've been doing a yeoman's job bringing in goods from all over the country down into Dallas, where he's got his crew of volunteers. You should see some of his live videos, man. They be rocking out, and they be having a good old time in the name of the Lord, delivering goods to people, but packaging, boxing, sorting, so on and so forth, and getting stuff on trucks and taking them into Houston, and they were gracious enough to reach out and extend that sort of help for the Virgin Islands. However, then the red tape comes. It's a whole lot easier coming from Dallas and trucking stuff to Houston than it is coming from Dallas, coming from Orlando, coming from Atlanta, coming from Philly, coming from anywhere, and getting stuff to the Virgin Islands. So it starts to beg the question, brothers and sisters, about the need for us as black people to start developing our own distribution channels, our own relief networks, our own, like Black Star Relief and Development. I'm an Episcopal priest, and one of the best relief and development organizations in the world, Episcopal Relief and Development. I think like 100% of their donations go directly to the people. Of course, their stuff is going all over for hurricane victims. Hurricane victims from Harvey, from Irma in Florida, in the Caribbean. It's going everywhere. But in terms of getting things to direct locations, it's like we need like a Black Star Relief and Development. But how and when and will we build the capacity in and of ourselves to be able to deliver relief when our people are affected? And and I'm not just thinking about the Virgin Islands, although I am. Don't get me wrong, I'm thinking about the Virgin Islands, and I hope that you all will put on the comments and sign up for the list so that I can get you on the list, so that when I send out my e-blast that we finally opened up the pipeline and are ready to get goods and services down to the Virgin Islands, that you all will do whatever you can to send help, because people need help. There's people, the majority of people, a whole ton of people are homeless. Like you look at St. John, you look at Tortola, you look at Virgin Gorda, Joseph Van Dyke. People have lost it all. And St. Thomas is bad, but not nearly as bad as those other places. And St. Croix is okay. But when we look at that, we need help. But I'm not just thinking about the Virgin Islands, but I think about the mudslides over there, and I think it was Sierra Leone. See, we don't even hear about it enough to know exactly where the country was, right? But over 400 people died in the mudslide. You barely heard about it. When we think about relief and development all throughout the Congo region in Africa, all throughout the refugee crisis in the Horn of Africa, when we think about relief and development all throughout the African diaspora and all these agencies that are doing little to nothing. Don't get me wrong, there are agencies that are doing stuff, but you got all kinds of bureaucracy, and it's humanitarianism for patting yourself on the back sake and making you feel good about yourself, but not really for getting goods and services to the people who actually need them. I start to question, I start to wonder, brothers and sisters, is it time for us to think about developing our own agency that has the capacity to respond to things domestic and foreign, to respond to the needs and concerns of the African diaspora around the globe, so that when people need help, we can get help. Not just go online, look up the the American Black Cross. I'm saying African Black Cross, right? But the American Black Cross, right? The Lee Merritt's group, and please support. They're doing a yeoman's job to get stuff. But the problem comes when we want to go beyond something domestic. Is it time for us to form something that can has the capacity to go beyond the domestic, where we've partnered with black shipping execs, where we've partnered with just around the country, just develop this pipeline that when we need to turn it on, when something happens in XYZ community in the mainland United States, when something happens in ABC community in the Caribbean, when something happens in QRS community on the continent, or in Latin America, the Afro-Latino sections of Latin America, that we are able to take things in our own hands and make sure that the people don't have to wait. I find myself in a position where, here it is, I'm on all these boards and on all of these committees and in all these halls of power. And, when push comes to shove, what can they actually deliver? What can I actually deliver because of them, through them? And thanks be to God, thankfully for ERD, Episcopal Relief and Development, it's the only ones that's been responsive, but, by and large, everything is bottleneck. So it becomes incumbent upon us, as we, with all these people denying global warming and everything else, we know that there's going to be more disasters, right? We know that there's going to be more natural disasters all over the country, all over the world. Will we be able to respond, or will we just be, wringing our hands? I mean, right now I have a headache all day, every day, because I'm just frantically all day, every day, calling this person, calling that person, trying to find ways to get things down there en masse. Post offices are closed, and the government has the airports on lock, where nothing can get in unless you're on an approved list, and all this red tape. Is it time? And I want to know from you. This is my rant as a form of a question, right? This is a long-winded. This is like a 14-minute question, right? Is it time for us to be building our own agency in order to do this relief and development work around the globe, around the African diaspora? And what are your thoughts as to what this would look like? And are you interested in something like this? If you're interested in something like this, I hope that you would, we need to get you on the list so that we can let you know, so that we can plug you into what the American Black Cross is doing, so that we can plug you into the efforts once we figure out a way to get stuff to the Virgin Islands, so that we can plug you into future efforts of how, we as African Americans, we as the talented tenth of black folks throughout the world, we as the black folks of privilege. Yes, even those of us who don't have privilege as this country stands in terms of global privilege under the yoke of global white supremacy, those of us who live in this country do have a degree of privilege. How are we using that privilege in order to benefit those who are waiting on something good to happen in their life because of the tragedies that they're experiencing in their life? Is it time for us to build such an agency, and what would that agency look like? And are you interested in being a part of such an effort? blackswithpower.com/reparations. You can download the manifesto. It also gets you on the list. You can leave your email in the comments. You can join the Facebook group. blackswithpower.com/Facebook, and get on the list and get in the group, so that when these things happen, we can let you know about it. So when things happen that we don't know about, you can let us know about it, and we can have that dialogue on how we can be responsive to the needs of our people. You don't want this experience, brothers and sisters. I mean, as much as I say that my heart goes out for the people of Sierra Leone and what they were experiencing, for the people in Liberia during that Ebola outbreak, it hits home in a different way when you go for days, damn near a week, and you don't know if your parents are alive. That was my experience, and there's still people, still my brothers and sisters, Virgin Islanders abroad, that are looking. I saw a message just the other day that I was sharing on my network, that of somebody still looking for parents. You don't want to be in that position. You want to be able to respond. You want to be able to get people on the ground. You want to be able to get communications there. You want to be able to get food and clothing and shelter there. There's people without shelter. We want to be able to get tents and tarps there. And you don't want to wait until you're in that position, like those of us from the Virgin Islands are in, where all we can do is barely see it, and we're powerless. We don't have the media down there to cover. We don't have, the media has been staying in the Keys and letting people know what's going on in the Keys. We don't have media on the ground staying there in the Virgin Islands, or in Sierra Leone reporting to us, and we don't have. We didn't have people down in the lower Ninth Ward after Katrina, for staying there to report on what's happening and keep us in the know. Is it time for us to build that sort of infrastructure? What would that infrastructure look like? I believe that it is necessary. I'm a priest, though. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out how to pull it off. I don't know how to pull it off. I can admit I'm trying. But I know there's some of you out there that know how to pull it off. I know that there's some of you out there that have an idea of how to pull it off. I believe that it is time. I believe that it is necessary. I want you to believe that it is necessary. I want you to give your efforts towards building such an infrastructure so that when we need to respond, we are capable of responding wherever we need to respond to. So join the group, blackswithpower.com/Facebook. And so I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts on what that would look like, on how you would see it taking shape, on your interest levels in creating such, and the tools that you have, the talents that you have. We all have skill sets. We all have talents. The talents that you have and the pieces, the parts that you can bring to this effort. And so then subscribe to the show. On iTunes, on Stitcher, on Google Play, on YouTube. Give us a review, a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Let us know what we're doing well, what we're doing poorly. Listen to the previous episodes. And share your favorite episodes with your family, with your friends, because truly, brothers and sisters, all voices, all thoughts, all opinions are needed. And now a charge to keep we have. A God to glorify. A never-dying soul to save and fit it for the sky. We have come a long way. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. We as a people have accomplished a great deal. But we ain't there yet. So let us march on till victory is won. Live with power.